Hi, I'm James from Sunbank Solar, and I'm here today to show you how to set up and program your Sunbank smart home controller. So all you'll need for this is a Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a smartphone, and then the smart controller itself. So we've already gone ahead and taken off the cover of the smart controller there and plugged in the wires. So we just cut off the end of an extension cord here so that we can set it up inside, get it connected to Wi-Fi really easily. One thing to note here is that this accepts 12 gauge wire, which is what you'll be using, and or smaller, but 12 gauge is typically what you'll want to use. And to get these wires in and out, you need to press down with the Phillips screwdriver on the terminal block. And that's what releases it and allows it to go in. And you'll want to test and make sure that the wires are really good in there. Give them the pull test to make sure you've got everything in. You'll also notice that it's wired for the input wiring, right? So this is to give the controller power. So we've got the line, the black wire, the neutral, the white wire. Notice it's to the far right, and the ground in there. That can be either. So when you then come back in and plug the heating element into this box, depending on 120, if it's 120, it'll be line in this far left, neutral in the second there, and then ground. If you're wiring it for 240, it'll be hot, and ground, and that's how you'll wire that up. So, but I went ahead and put those in. You'll also notice that it's a little tricky to get these side ones in there. So when you're putting the heating element wire in especially, you'll probably want to cut like a 6-inch whip, put that in, and then and that'll give you a little bit more room to work with, and you can connect that whip to the heating element wire. So I'm going to go ahead and get this plugged in, just plugging in the end of the extension cord. I'm not missing much here. And let's see. Plug that in, fire it up. So, turned it on here. You'll see that the blue light is flashing 3 times. And so I'm going to try to do this while the camera is on. So I'm in the app here. Let's shift our focus over to the phone now. So, and it's nice to do this before you're up on the roof. So you have it all set up, and then when you give it power on the roof, it's already set up. So in the app here, all you do is you press this plus button, and note that it has to have a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection. It'll tell you that. If you need to make your router so it's putting out both a 5 gigahertz and a 2.4 gigahertz, you can find instructions for how to do that online based on your router. So that's an important thing to note before even buying this product. You'll want to make sure you're capable of doing that. Quick pairing, you'll see here, and we're going to add one device, and let's see, so you can see it only accepts the 2.4 gigahertz, so that's fine. Click next, and then it's connecting. And so we already actually have a device in here connected, but I just wanted to show you how to get this connected to Wi-Fi so that you can see that. So this is a new device we're pairing, and it takes a few seconds for it to find it. It's basically connecting to the Wi-Fi, and it's looking and seeing what is out there. So we'll give that a minute. This is a good time to remind you that when you are installing the system on the roof, you'll want to have it in a plastic weatherproof junction box, not a metal weatherproof junction box. And the reason for that is that a metal box will block the Wi-Fi signal, whereas a plastic box does not. So, in order to use this system, this box is going to be mounted at the tank, and you need to have a Wi-Fi connection, a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection out there. So that is important. So, all right, there we go. So, device added successfully. That's great. Let's call it, what it is. Sunbank SB80G. All right. Let's see. Yep. Okay. So that's the room. So let's call it SB80G. Just quickly. Let's see. And then I'm adding it to the room. So I've already got the Sunbank on there. I also have a hot tub running. So, okay. Got it. That's good. And there it is. Sunbank 80G off. So, just to show you what's going on here, the temp sensor is not connected. Nothing's connected here, but it's connected to the Wi-Fi. So you'll be able to hear the click when the relay turns on when I turn this on. There you go. So that's turning on. If the element were connected to that, it would have just turned on the element and turned it back off. So that's setting up the system and connecting it to Wi-Fi. Super simple. So I'll go ahead and unplug this system now because we're kind of done with that part of the process, and we can get that out of here. And we're gonna go ahead and actually we can also do maybe is yeah. So let's go ahead and look at the devices that are already set up. So we have two systems on here. The Sunbank 80-gallon system, SB80G, and the Sunbank Recirculation Pump. And so just to show you here first, the Sunbank, this is the Sunbank system as it's set up now. You see the tank is 131 degrees, so the element is off. We have it set up that way because the current settings are that when the temperature is lower than 115, we turn the element on, and when it's higher than 120, we turn it off. So because it's higher than 120, the element's off. And that's enabled. So that's the first important setting that you'll have there. Just to show you, let's see. Let's just show you what it looks like when it turns on. So let's say if it's lower than 140, let's turn it on. And then, higher than 150, turn it off. So this is if we wanted to, supercharge. There you go. So that kicks it on. So now we've got the element in the 80-gallon system turned on, and it'll turn off at those temps. Another important feature, as I mentioned, is that we have the recirculation pump. So this is the plug also connected to Wi-Fi, and that can turn the backup recirculation pump on and off. And you can see that it can do that in multiple ways. So it can either do it with a schedule, it can do it with a timer or a loop timer, or the really interesting feature is that you can also set up scenes. And so what we've done here is we use the recirculation pump for overheat protection in the summer if we're not consuming as much hot water. And so what we've done is we set up heat dissipation. So you can either turn your heat dissipation, your recirculation pump on or off, and you can throw that heat into a hot tub or a heat exchanger, or you can just let it circulate throughout the house, which will give you instant hot water at the tap, but will also dissipate some heat. So what that looks like is the scene says that if, and it's enabled, if the Sunbank is greater than, and it's 77, it says Fahrenheit, but it's actually Celsius, so you need to set that in Celsius. So 77 degrees is 170 Fahrenheit. So we're saying, okay, if it's above 170, then turn on the pump. And so above 170, turn on pump, and then effective 24 hours. And then what we've also set up is to turn off the pump off. So once the pump is dissipating the heat, once it achieves that and it goes below 74 degrees, which is 165 Fahrenheit, it'll turn that off. So we have it set up in here again to once it's less than 74 degrees, and you'll notice we kept this switch. Don't enable that. You just want it to say, if the temperature in the Sunbank is this, then turn off the recirculation pump. So we've got that set up in there, and that's it. So, and that's also effective. So that is on. And that's a scene. You can do a lot of things with these scenes. You can, based on the temperature in the tank, you could send, like I said, you could send heat to a hot tub. You could also set up the timer on the pump so that it's, and I just unplugged those. You can see they're offline now. So you could also set up so that, if you're worried about pipes freezing in the winter, you can set it up so that your recirculation pump turns on in the middle of the night for 10 minutes here and there. I just plugged that back in so you can see that it comes back online. So super versatile, really great system, and makes it so that you can do all of this remotely on a rental house or an Airbnb, or from anywhere in the world. You can basically check to make sure that, hey, is the Sunbank doing well, working correctly? Yes, 132 degrees is great. And then you say, well, maybe I need to change my settings so that the recirculation pump comes on because we're going to be on vacation, etc. So you can do whatever you want with it, and it just works really well, and really excited to share it with you.